4 minutes past 11, you are listening to the Mid Morning Talk on Salam Media. Our boys need us. Many are getting lost in the transition from childhood to young adulthood. Many are making the wrong choices, and long-term consequences are troubling. Joining me right now is the character company founder and CEO, Jaco van Schalkwyk, who's going to be talking about how a group of men and women from all walks of life concerned with the impact of absent fathers on our families and societies are working together to raise boys to be good men so that our communities can be a safer place for women and children. Good morning, Jaco, and thank you for joining me.
Morning, Miriam. It's lovely to be with you.
Thank you. Now, give us a brief history on the organization first. What inspired this and the goals and objectives of the Character Company?
So, the Character Company is a long-term mentorship program for young boys that are growing up with absent fathers or who do not have any positive male role models in their lives. Our current statistics in our country tells us that 70% of children are growing up in single-parent homes, and in our experience, 4 out of 5 boys do not have a positive male role model in their lives. I always say this was started in 1971 when I was born. I grew up with an absent father, and the impact on my life has been quite profound. And the idea around this is to try and limit the impact that we have, because I understand that as a young boy, especially, and grow up and having to navigate all of this stuff with an absent father, there's some very fundamental stuff that we need to understand that we don't get, and that causes a lot of challenging environments and challenging experiences. That if we can limit that, we can really make a big impact in our society.
Hmm. Why is it important to mentor young boys?
So, well, maybe when we look at our country, we should see what
Mm.
happens if we don't mentor young boys, and I think that's where we can also always start. But you know, there's some fundamental stuff that a young boy needs. I think if you look at the development stages for a child, especially between the ages of 5 and 10, is where dads play a very high impact in the role of in the lives of their children. And for a boy, the question that he walks around with is, do I have what it takes? Can I do this? Girl, her question is, am I pretty enough? Am I worth pursuing? And dads really hold the key in that. Dads hold the key
Mm.
in unlocking identity and purpose. We have been created in a way where God created a family structure so that moms and dads play a specific role. Each one of us have a very specific role to play in the lives of our children. And if you take one of those out of the equation, and what happens in South Africa, again, if we look at the statistics, what happened a lot is we take dads out of the picture and we're dealing with fatherlessness, then a whole lot of that stuff is not happening. Plus, we're expecting moms to take care of it, and they're not supposed to do that, and they can't do all of that. We always say, positive masculinity is bestowed by positive masculinity. And so it's important that we as men play a role in that space so that we can mentor young boys so they can become the best versions of
Mhm.
themselves. And in that space, create a better environment, a country where it's safe for women and children and men. And I think it's
Mhm.
important that we understand that that we have a big role to play in that.
Well, yeah, definitely a big role to play. And now, what is the impact of absent fathers in young children's lives for both boys and girls? I know we're talking here about mentoring boys, but obviously, absent fathers play a big impact in a young girl's life as well.
Yeah. I always say that I think the impact of absent fathers on girls are probably even worse than on boys. Um, uh, because the impact is from an absent father, our program cannot deal with that. I mean, it's a very active space, it's a very involved space, and so it becomes very dangerous when you have to do that with girls. And so our focus is on boys, and because we're boys ourselves, and so my experience in that is that a lot of it is the stuff that I needed growing up, and so that's where we focus. I get asked this question a lot. What do you do for girls? And I always say,
Hmm.
when we find the right partner, our program is very easily adjusted to that. But for a boy, like I said, there's some very specific stuff that I need to know. There's stuff growing up that my mom can't help me with. There's questions I have
Hmm.
that I would not feel comfortable asking. There's stuff that I really need as a boy. I need to understand my identity. I need to understand my purpose. I need to understand my role in the family structure. Where do I fit in? What am I supposed to do? And the moment you take that away, the moment that question is not answered, you start taking that question to the whole world. There's, I want to say, there's very seldomly a healthy space where you take that to. Now, one of the things that I really wish I had understood from a very young age is that someone would make the effort to teach me the heart of God, because I think that would have really, really established my identity as a beloved son. And I think that would be an important process for me. But you remove the father and the boy walks around with the question, do I have what it takes? And if that's not answered, it means, where am I going to ask that question? And so I'm taking that question to my friends and to girlfriends and to society. And I mean, that's just a mess. I mean, you ask that question from friends that are dealing with the same issues, from girlfriends that are growing up without fathers, from society that's broken at the level that we find it right now. And there's no healthy answer to that question. And that then builds on frustration. One of the things we teach our boys in the character company, on a strong values-based system is that you're in charge of your emotions. You can't help getting angry at stuff. That happens. But you have total control of what you're going to do with that anger. How are you going to play out with your emotions? That's important. If we can teach a young generation that they have to take control of their emotions, then we start changing the narrative and we start making a difference in the way that we act. And I think it's so easy. If you want to see the impact of that, if you want to see what happens, then look at our country. We're a country that is fatherlessness. We are, from the very top levels down, there's just, fatherlessness has just become the thing that drives so much of the challenges we're facing. And I mean, if you just want to take the top four, you look at gender-based violence, you look at corruption, racism, suicides. Those are symptoms of a society where fathers don't play a role anymore, where fathers have become so absent that we're not dealing with the stuff that we need to deal with for our children.
And it becomes a cycle as well. I mean, if you don't stop it now, it will. The young boys will grow up to become those absent fathers, those fathers who think that it's okay because apparently that's how they have been raised as well. They did not have a father figure or a male figure to guide them in the right direction, and it becomes a cycle which becomes difficult to break along the way. Now, what are
Yeah.
some of the ways that young men can be taught to be better individuals growing up?
So I think for us it really comes down to a value system. I mean, if we can establish a values-based society, then we start changing the narrative around it. We start changing the way we look at it. We start changing the way we talk about it. We spend time with the boys, and for us it works out in different ways. So firstly, we start at a very young age. I think we're still the only organization in the country that I know of that work from a mentorship point of view with boys from as young as 5. So we start as young as we possibly can. We understand that this is a long-term issue, so it was created over a long time, so we address it over a long time. So the mentorship with us is essentially you start at a 5-year-old as what we call our bonsais. You'll be a junior, senior. You'll become a junior mentor and become a mentor yourself one day. And so this is a long-term process. I mean, you're not going to change this overnight. So you have to really apply long-term thinking around it. It is focused towards boys who are adventurers and explorers. So it's not lecture formats. It's not classroom style stuff. It's out there. It's adventurous. It's really exploring the heart of that boy. What is it? What makes you tick? What is the best version of yourself? And if we can lay that on a foundation of values, it means that the values become the roadmap that we navigate. So I understand who I am. I understand because we've established identity. I understand where I want to go because that's the best version of myself. My value system is the roadmap. And so we talk to the boys about that. We explore it. We don't pretend we have the answers because we often don't. When we're trying to fix a generation with a broken generation. But the one thing we do is we commit. And at the character company, the word commitment is we spell with a capital MEN in the middle because it's something that men need to learn or relearn how to do. I mean, we have just become a society that just doesn't commit to anything anymore. I mean, men have become really pathetic in that area. I mean, there's so few men that can commit to something and stick it through. And so we want to teach the boys that. We want to teach them how to be vulnerable. We want to teach them how to talk about their emotions and deal with it. We want to teach them how to be accountable. I mean, we live in a society where accountability means absolutely nothing. It's like non-existent. And so on that foundation and walking that road, these young men understand that they don't have to do this alone. They're going to struggle. They're going to live in this world. They're going to live in this country. They're going to deal with the stuff that comes to them every day. But the one thing that we are going to do is we're going to walk this road together. And we've just seen some phenomenal stuff in that. I mean, you have young boys that are that are dealing with life and all its challenges, but they do so from a place where they know that there's someone they can call on. And I think that makes a difference. That makes a difference for all of us. I mean, we just essentially want to belong somewhere. We want to know that someone's got a heart. We always say, we're teaching these boys, don't have my back. I want you to have my heart, because that's more important.
Mm-hmm. I like that you mentioned that we just want to belong somewhere. Everybody has that sense of belonging, and you want to feel and fit in, and know that this is the right place for me, and this is where I belong, and these people accept me for who I am. Jaco, please stay with us. We're going to take a quick break, and we will continue when we return.
Something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
There's no smell that takes me back to the comfort of my childhood than the smell of black seed oil being applied by my nanny. Now I'm using Tib black seed in my own home to soothe sniffles and coughs, to help with digestion and immunity, and of course, as part of my beauty routine. After all these years, I've come to appreciate the wisdom in finding comfort and shifa in trusted treatments like Tib black seed. You can find Tib black seed at all leading pharmacies, or find out more at blackseed.co.za.
Whoever fasts Ashura, it is as if he has fasted the entire year. And whoever gives charity this day, it is like the charity of an entire year. Donate from only 500 Rand this month of Muharram to any of our campaigns and reap the rewards. Visit our website at www.pennyappeal.org.za to do a quick and easy donation, or visit the site for more information on our Thirst Relief, Orphan Kind, Hifts Orphan, Feed Our World, and the Mosque Project. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and free zakat calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
11:17, you are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media, and we are talking about mentoring boys with the founder and CEO of the character company, Jaco van Schalkwyk. Jaco, thank you for staying with us. Now, what are some of the activities that the character company engages in, and how does this have a positive impact on the young boys?
So like I said before the break, we really focus on what's important for the development of young men. So, we look at boys being adventurous and explorers. We know that they love to run out there and, play certain games. And when we have an opportunity, so what we see is that we've created a space where there's a regular interaction. So mentors of the character company see their boys once a week, and it's a small group of no more than 5 boys. These are men that we walk a road with, that we screen and train and speak into their lives for one another. And we try and keep this active stuff. So this could be going to a park and play ball, or go cycling or rock climbing or whatever it is. And I think it's just important that we find something where boys get the opportunity to get some fresh air and some sunlight and just have a social interaction. It's also a space of no technology. You're not allowed to bring a cell phone to that space. We understand that boys are oversaturated in that area. So when we get to spend some time together in the afternoons, it's really just some real fun activities. We also camp a lot. We in Gauteng, we probably have camps at least twice a month at our campsite out at Basora in close to Hartbeespoort. In our different other provinces, there's camp out, so the mentors will come together and they'll, the boys will pitch tents in the backyard, and they'll sleep in someone's backyard for a night as a camp. And those are just fun opportunities to get boys around a fire and dry marshmallows and just have some real fun out there. It's times when moms get a break. It's also times when boys get to do boy stuff, swim in the rivers and have mud fights and don't shower for a weekend and just brush teeth, all those kind of fun stuff that dads really should be doing with their children. And so the activities really is based on that. The activity is just the vehicle that drives the relationship building. And so, that can sometimes just be when a mom is really struggling and we'll just go and, pick up the boy and have a milkshake somewhere and just talk about the value system and reinforce that, what is the kind of man that you want to be? How do you want to grow up? And, but it's really, it's tailor-made around, because as we build the relationship, we get to understand who this boy is. We get to understand the personalities. We get to know the certain things. It's also a space where there's zero tolerance for tantrums, bad attitudes. When we go like camping, you have to take part in activities, and there's exercise and make up your bed and wash your own dishes and eat the food you're given, and I think that also creates a space where boys really feel comfortable, because boys need boundaries. They like with this whole adventure explorer thing, we love to push the boundaries, and unfortunately, dads again are the ones that's supposed to put those boundaries in place, and moms are the ones that are often more lenient with it. Although you don't test your mom on these issues, but if a mom's alone, there's like some point you kind of try and pick your battles, and so those boundaries also provides them security, and that's a great space. So we really focus on making it an active space, a space where the boys can just live it out, be themselves, but really always it comes back to the relationship. It's how do we build the relationship so that we get to speak into their lives as they grow older? We've got boys who've been in our program for 10 years now, and we have got, they have life and they have challenges and stuff, but it's so different from the average cross-cut of society of a 16 or 18-year-old right now, because these boys have got someone they can talk to. They've got someone that speak into their lives, someone that speak truth into their lives. And I think that at the end of the day is the key around this. It's about, I always say to parents, it's about spending time in your son and your daughter's life, in their world. When your son's busy playing on the carpet with his cars, or when he's younger, and you're sitting and watching sport, that's not being in his world. You have to switch the TV off, sit down and play cars with him. Today, go home a little bit earlier, stop at the shop and get some boerewors and some. The weather's not great in Gauteng for this today, but make a little fire and teach him how to braai. Or if you've got girls, if you haven't had makeup and ponytails in your hair, then you have to start asking yourself, what does their world look like? And you have to start spending time in that space for them, because that's what's important and that's what builds a relationship. And you need the relationship, because if you don't have the relationship, then that's going to happen without you.
Definitely. And I actually wanted to ask you about whether the program allows for those who have fathers to participate, because I mean, you like what you've just mentioned, you do find kids who have fathers who they're not absent, but they are actually absent. They're not really there in their lives. They don't do anything with them. Like you mentioned, activities and things that dads should be doing with their kids, but unfortunately the dads aren't doing with their kids. So is there a system in place in your program or something like that for kids in that situation?
Definitely. So I think one of the things that we wanted to do from the beginning is also not make the character company about the identity of absent fathers, because for a boy struggling with finding his identity, you want to make sure that's a healthy space. So the boys understand, and you can hear the conversations when you're going to hike and when they talk to one another, and they understand dads are not around. But the identity around this is that it's a values-based mentorship program for boys, because we want to raise a generation of better boys, because our country needs it. Our biggest challenge is, of course, not finding the boys. I mean, with 4 out of 5 boys without a positive male role model, they are all around. Our biggest challenge is finding those men, what we call fat guys, faithful, available, and teachable. And to those guys that step out as in mentorship spaces. For dads that gets involved in our program as mentors, if they've got sons, their sons must be on the program. And we've got dads whose boys are in their own groups. We've got dads on our program as mentors whose boys are in other mentors groups, camp together, camp apart. It really is that whole environment where we're building that community, because like sometimes dads are there but they're not present, and that's a hard space, because I mean, I grew up being reminded twice a day that I wasn't good enough. When I wake up, my dad's not there. When I go to bed and he wasn't there, that's a hard thing for a boy to live through. So we want to establish ways we can partner with anyone that wants to put up their hand and saying, man, listen, I mean, there's a problem in my community. I really want to fix this. How do I do this? And what other, and how do I do it? You know, maybe I've got relationship with 15-year-olds and want to mentor them. Well, we've got a way to do that. So it really is about stepping into every space. Our heart is that every boy should have a positive male role model in their lives. It should be the dad first, but in South Africa, that's just not the case. And so the question is, how else do we do that?
Mm-hmm. All right. And you do have a mom's support group. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think from the beginning we understood that, you know, moms are the front line here. They're holding the fort. They're doing a phenomenal job. I mean, the moms of the character company. I mean, I take my hat off to them. You know, these are the people that hold worlds together. But again, you know, they are doing a lot of stuff. They're holding stuff together that was not originally all of theirs. They're not supposed to be responsible for all of this. And in often cases, moms have put their own lives and their own emotions and their own trauma on hold in order to provide for their families, for their sons. And so we've created a mom support program where we understand that moms need that support. And so we check in with every mom in our program once a month with a phone call, just check in and see how you're doing. You know, what are the challenges? We know that you're struggling at work with some stuff and what's going on there. Please understand that there's a picnic coming up or a prayer meeting coming up or whatever we have planned. Please know that when you get stuck and it's like 10 o'clock at night on a Thursday, phone, you know, don't deal with this alone. And so it's very important for us. And what is amazing is how we've seen over the years how the moms have become a support structure to one another. So, you know, their sons came together and they'll become friends. But sometimes, you know, we've had moms that are just sharing on the groups and saying, like, you know, this is really something I'm dealing with, and becoming vulnerable. And in that space, suddenly other moms have stepped in and provide support, or other moms have just sometimes shared, you know, like, we're going through the same stuff and, you know, we're dealing with this. And I think it's important. I think it's important for moms to understand that we get that you love your child, but sometimes you just want to kind of, you know, bury him in a shallow grave. You know, when parents get to that point. And it's good to share that. It's good to go like, oh man, I'm just not alone in this. There's other moms that actually like just climbing the walls right now. And I think it's important. And we teach it to the boys and we teach it to men, you know, that accountability, the vulnerability, the community. And so we want to make sure that it's there for our moms as well.
Well, that's amazing. Now, how does one contact the organization to volunteer or to receive assistance?
So I think it starts with, you know, it's very important. I mean, our contact details are all on social media, and I'll share that now. But I think it's very important that as a society, we need to start really take a reality check on this. We need to understand that we need to get involved. I mean, the question is, again, this morning is not, should I get involved? The question is, how and where do I get involved? You know, what am I doing? And I think that's the first question we need to start asking ourselves. We've become such a selfish, self-centered society about the issues that are going on around us, and it doesn't make sense. I mean, we can see the impact of this. You know, we're having this interview now, and over the weekend there was an horrendous gang rape incident in Gauteng again, and I have to ask myself, why is it not this morning that everything is not at a standstill until we fix this stuff? And the answer to that lies in the fact that we just don't want to get involved. You know, we are so busy like chasing our own fame. We're so busy building our own kingdoms. We're so, you know, empires. We're so busy stuffing our own pockets and furniture with money. And, you know, like we have stopped caring, and we've stopped making this about the bigger good of society. I mean, every one of us knows families where dads are absent. Everyone knows families where there's been an impact of crime and rape and suicide. I mean, it's all around us. So the question is, what are we doing about this? Why have we become so like, well, it's not my business? What is our business? It's and we need to start being real about this. We need to tackle these issues and start talking about fatherlessness and the impact of it. You know, and it's a discussion for men and women, and we need to do that. So how to get involved is just go to our website, thecharactercompany.co.za. All our contact details are on there. Send us a WhatsApp, 084 777 7114. Email us, our email address, ch@reactor.co.za, which is character.co.za, and the first A is the @ all of that stuff's on the website. Go and check us out, see what we're doing, see how we're actively making a difference, and then see where the challenges are. And if you get to the point like, I'm really too busy, I can't do this, well, then support financially to help us to put mentors in communities, so that we don't have communities where boys are growing up and becoming involved in crime and rape stats and stuff like that, just because they're following the examples of their society, which is what we do. I mean, we hardly parenting our own kids these days. We expect everyone to just be left out there and society to raise them, and then we're shocked that it's going the way it is. So we have to catch a wake up on this. We have to get involved. We've got a fun event coming up in October where we're raising awareness. So go and have a look at that, or contact me, and I'll share some of that. You can join my team, and we're going to go for a nice hike that day. And we want to do this across the country and raise awareness and raise funds to really get out there and do something specific. But whatever it is, I mean, we have to start standing up for this generation. We have to start fighting for the hearts of these young boys, so that women and children and ourselves have a better future when it comes to our society and the stuff that goes on. So I'm really hoping that that we can keep on just talking about the stuff that becomes so uncomfortable, stuff that, that's just, I don't want to talk about this because it's not nice. Well, there's a 5-year-old out there that are struggling because no one is prepared to step up. And if we don't get in that space, he's going to turn into a 15 or 17-year-old that we cannot manage. And that's our fault. We have to stand up and take responsibility for this.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for your time, Jaco, and for unpacking that with us. And I wish you well. And we'll catch up with you closer to the time of the event in October. But for now, have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. God bless.
Thank you. Bye-bye. The Character Company founder and CEO, Jaco van Schalkwyk, talking to us about the impact of absent fathers on young boys and girls as well. And you can find out more information by going to their website. You can just Google the Character Company, and all the information will be there, including social media details, contact details, as well as events. So it is 11:31. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media. We will be right back.